Grace before.
But Jordynne Grace willing to fight, trying to chop down the redwood. Went for the chop there. Now Jordynne Grace, oh my God! Juggernaut driver! You're kidding me! Jordynne Grace wins the Carrier Shot Gauntlet!
Ladies and gentlemen, here is your winner, Jordynne!
What up, y'all? This your boy Ace here, and welcome to Afternoons Delight. Wow, man, this was a bit surprising, bro, and it was actually, you know what? It was actually a good surprise, bro. A very good surprise. I gotta say this too. Y'all, for some of y'all that have been on my channel for a long time, or y'all watch most of the videos I've ever done on this channel, man, going back to last year. This channel only came out last year, so the channel's been around a good 18 months. I've probably been covering pro wrestling on a consistent basis over a good year now. But a lot of y'all, one of the things, it's not like I've talked about it a lot on the channel, but every time it comes up on one of the products, I usually go into it. I'm a big advocate of intergender wrestling. I know a lot of people out there aren't ready for it. I don't think people hate it. I just think people aren't ready for it. You know what I mean? Because it was like that with women's wrestling. Women's wrestling it took a little while for women's wrestling to kind of get there. The knockouts division, and it's perfect that I'm actually stating it in a TNA video, is that the knockouts division is what brought women's wrestling to another level. You know what I mean? It brought it to heights that it hadn't been in the mainstream. Obviously, you had the WWE also building up, in the Divas division or whatever. But outside of Lita and Trish, and there's been some great women's wrestling in WWE back in the Ruthless Aggression era. But it still wasn't fully developed. I think the knockouts division took it there. And in the 2010s, luckily, the Bella Twins stepped up and said, we need more TV time to the WWE, and we're here where we are today. The women's wrestling is still growing. It's still trying to get to where it needs to be, because the men have had like a 50 to 100 year head start on women's wrestling. And so now we got intergender wrestling, which has been something you see a little bit more in the indie scene. But there's been one promotion that has done it more than anybody else, and that's been Impact / TNA Wrestling, man. You're going to hear me saying TNA a lot going forward, because that's what it is now. But I still have to call it Impact for now. But, yeah, it's definitely going to be more of the TNA factor for me going forward. But I love intergender wrestling. I've been a big fan of intergender wrestling for the longest. I think men and women can coexist in the ring. One of my favorite matches still is Tessa Blanchard versus Sami Callihan at Hard to Kill 3 years ago, man. It's still one of my favorite overall matches, man. Actually, was that 4 years? Going on 4 years ago. Man, because that was before the pandemic. And yeah, man. I think and that was such a dream storyline, man. But like I said, one of the reasons why intergender still kind of gets crap is because people still aren't ready to see men and women in the ring. It's still uncomfortable for a lot of people to see a man beat up a woman. I think that's where a lot of that comes from. And some people just don't like the two blending in, because men's wrestling is a different style, women's wrestling is a different style. And people aren't ready to mix them together. There's still, like I said before, there's still some people who don't respect women's wrestling the way it should be respected, So we know it's going to take some time for intergender to get there. But I will say that women's wrestling is a lot more accepted today than it was 20, 30 years ago. And I just think because it's been more normalized now, you see it every week, pretty much it's hard to ignore, because it's always going to be in your face, and it's growing every single year, so it's really hard to ignore. But I think intergender is going to we will get to a point, I will say sometime in the next 10, 15 years, we're going to get to a point where it's going to be a division of its own. You're going to see it on a regular basis, man. I really do. I think it's only going to take one company to do it on a regular basis, and all the other companies are they're gonna build their own divisions. I still think TNA is probably the most equipped to do it because they've embraced it the most out of anybody on a regular basis throughout the year, you know. And Jordynne Grace, like I said, she's one of those girls that if you were to build it, I think you could do it with her. Then you got the transgender wrestlers like Sunny Kiss, and you got Giselle Shaw, who was a part of this battle royal. And you definitely with certain girls, I think you can pull it off. I think Tessa Blanchard, I would love to see her get back and pick up where she left off with Sami Callihan winning that championship and being one of the best representatives of the intergender scene. I think Rhea Ripley, the WWE, could be she could get it started over there. Like I said, it's gonna take time because people have to see it on a regular basis, and I think you're gonna see a lot of people when you start seeing a lot more good matches. Because like I said, you see it a lot in the indie scene, but it just like in the mainstream, it's still not there right now. You know, a lot of these girls, like I said, they can handle the men because they train with the men. They train fighting against the men. A lot of them are trained by the men, so they're used to fighting the men. So, I think a lot of wrestlers are equipped to do it. You know, and the thing is, you can still have a men's and female. This is why I said put it in a division so that we don't get to a point where now, you know, you take away from men's wrestling. Now you take away from women's wrestling, the legacy that we all wanted to have after we leave this earth, or 50 to 100 years from now. We would love to see the men's and the women still have their legacy in the future. And the intergender division doesn't have to threaten it. If people feel threatened that it's going to take one of those away, it doesn't have to be that way. It can just be its own separate division like we have with the women's division. You know what I mean? And that's the way you do intergender wrestling, is you put it in its own division so that it doesn't take over the whole company. You know what I mean? Because I think that's the only thing that they probably went wrong with Tessa Blanchard, is that she was threatened to a position where she was going to take away men's wrestling. And a lot of people weren't ready for that. This is why I said put it in its own division, its own title. And then, you know, people could take it from there the way they want to see it. But tonight, I thought we got one of the better examples of how the intergender division needs to be done. This is why I said if anybody's going to start it, it should be TNA because they book it the best. And this was a pure example right here. This battle royal that we had some moments where some of the girls had to fight the guys. In this battle royal, we saw Bully Ray. Bully Ray is the one person that I think, you know, I haven't really heard him talk about it. You know what? If anybody's got a good interview for me to listen to about Bully Ray and intergender wrestling, please lead me to a link or something, man, because I don't know if he's ever talked about it before on one of his podcast shows or whatever, or interviews. I would love to hear from him because he seems like an advocate, because the way he works with these women, he's not afraid to hit them or anything like that. And so I like that, man. And I think, like I said, I think it could go places if they allow it to be taken there. So we'll see where it goes, man. But let's go into how this ended, man. So Bully Ray and Jordynne Grace were the last two. So it was Cardona, Grace, Bully Ray, and Kylie King. They both Kylie King was eliminated by Bully Ray. And I think Cardona was eliminated by Grace, from what I remember, or try to remember. It might have been different. It might have been the other way around. But then we got to the final two. It was Bully Ray and Jordynne Grace, who have a history because they've gone at it earlier in the year. So this is a great way to kind of wrap that up. You know what I mean? So the last two is basically a singles match, just like you see in most battle royals or Royal Rumble. Is usually the final two. They go with a match, right? So. But this was for a pinfall. This wasn't to throw a person out of the ring. This was for a pinfall. So Bully no-sold shoulder tackles at first from Grace. Grace no-sold a chop from Bully. Hannifan noted that this is the longest a woman had actually lasted in a call your shot match. I'm glad he mentioned that because I did not know that. Bully took Grace with a chop. Grace avoided an elbow in the corner. Bully gave Grace a big boot. And then Grace avoided a diving senton from Bully. Grace hit Bully with spinning back fist. Bully didn't fall and took down Grace with a head slam. Grace avoided an elbow drop and then went back at Bully with spinning back fist. Grace avoided a chop. Grace hit Bully with a Grace driver for the pinfall win, and that was all she wrote for Bully Ray as Jordynne Grace wins the 2023 Call Your Shot Battle Royale. And Grace, and that was awesome. That Grace driver that she did on Bully, it didn't look like she struggled or anything with it. And that's why I say I think some of these girls can handle, and it looks realistic, like, because everybody knows Jordynne Grace is built. So that's how I said, like, if you did an intergender division and you put someone like Bully Ray in there, it'll work because she has no problem doing slams and stuff, picking up a man and then putting him over like that. But like I said, if you've ever been like in a wrestling gym, you'll see this all the time, like women doing power slams on dudes and stuff like that. So it's just for a lot of people, they haven't seen it on a regular basis, these types of matches done. But when Grace got on the mic, she get to pick any title she wants. And I'm glad she didn't pick the men's title just yet. Because like I said, what TNA is going to have to do with intergender wrestling to move it forward, they need to make their own division first. Don't do like you did with Tessa, okay? And make her come after the men's title. Do an intergender division, set that up, and then have a title for it. That way, we don't have to worry about Jordynne Grace facing Alex Shelley at, Hard to Kill or anything like that and upset people. You know what I'm saying? We need to normalize intergender first in its own division and do it that way. Do it the appropriate way so people can see it on a normal basis. And because what's going to happen is you're always going to have people, because like I said, there's people who don't like women's wrestling who just like men's wrestling, and they don't respect it. So you're always going to have those people. The people you want to get is those people in the middle who just need to be exposed to it a little bit more. You'll win those people over more, and they'll be like, shit, man, I can't wait to see Deonna Purrazzo against Matt Cardona or something. I'm just saying, you know what I mean? Like, for real. I think that's what we need to do. I hope Scott D'Amore listens to this video. I'm pretty sure he's got an idea for what he wants to do with it in the future. He just hasn't pulled that he hasn't pulled the string for it yet or push the button to make it go. You know what I mean? But Grace says she's going to come after the Knockouts title at Hard to Kill. So who's ever the champion at that point? Trinity did win tonight, but we don't know if she's going to lose it at that point. That takes place in January, on January 13th. So there's a lot of time between now and then. But let's get over there because I want to talk about that match, Trinity and Mickie James. I want to say this for the last point. I thought Mickie James was going to win, and we were going to have that storyline finish up between Mickie James and Jordynne Grace, who fought last year at Hard to Kill, by the way, and that's where Mickie actually tapped to her. I thought we were going to have that come full circle. It would have been nice to finally tease that she tapped out. But I think Mickie James will also have to be a heel. And I don't know if she's going to be a heel the rest of her career, like we saw for Trish Stratus. So, like I said, we're going to talk about that again in the next video. But give me your thoughts on this, man. Give this video a like, share, subscribe. Let's give it over to Mickie James and Trinity. Thank y'all for watching. After News to Light.